They're guys. They do magic. They are the Magic Guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 182 of the Magic Guys, where we share our experience as professional magicians and all the whimsicalness that goes with it. Up to my diagonal right, we have Nick K.
I was at Magic Live, bitches.
And up to my diagonal left, we have Doug Kahn.
I've been glued to Nick K's social media for the last 5 days, watching him be at Magic Live.
Yes, as I think we all have in our live chat right now, if you're watching this, Thomas Conger, Holy Crapola. That might be a new tagline. I like it. And we've got Scott P. Oh, he's changed it from Scotty P to Scott P. I like
He's
the
pro now.
nuance
He's
there.
got to have that pro.
That's right. You do a gig. Just how Colin Cloud went to from Colin McLeod to Colin Cloud. Now we've got Scott P. I like it. We got Fahrenheit. Clever name, my friend. And Dragotier. Look, the list goes on. Actually, that is the end of the list. But and Dave Nicholson. What's up? Yes, Magic Live, the dream one day. Well, there is one man who lived that dream and he went to that live magic. Good to have you back, Nick. How you feeling?
It's good to be back, man. Like a lot of people have been asking how is the jet lag and so forth. But the reality is that when I go to Vegas, I never truly adapt to the native time. I basically run on Melbourne time the entire time I'm there. You know, I never go to bed before 4 a.m. just hanging out and jamming. I sleep 3 or 4 hours. I go to a morning session, and I'll tell you guys all about that experience as it goes along. But first, how are you guys? I missed you.
I'm sad. I've been depressed all week looking at your social media that I wasn't in Vegas with all the cool stuff. I'm not fully mentally well today. It's not just your fault, but if I don't make it to Magic Live next year, I know this. I'm not turning Facebook on the whole damn week.
Well,
I don't need to see the pain.
Well, I'll tell you, I can highly recommend it, man. Like, it was so great, and you're among such good company the entire time you're there. It's like walking into the internet almost. You know what I mean? Like, it's really wonderful.
It's like a live Instagram feed, except they're really there. That's a cool way to think about it. Holy moly. Yeah. Well, you'll be glad to know we held the fort while you were gone, Nick. We did an episode and we played your voicemail that you left us. Thank you for that. Showing off all of the already cool people you'd met before Magic Live had started. I got to ask, well, you know, I'm sure you're going to tell us a lot about a lot, but did you have much of an interaction with Dan White? He's someone I've always wanted to meet and never been anywhere near the same
only in passing. He's a very kind guy, you know, just very quiet by nature, but he was typically 3 or 4 people deep in conversation. He was surrounded by Danny Garcia most of the time. Peter Turner, mentalist Peter Turner was also there. You know,
just hogging the Dan White.
Yeah, and it's to be expected. And I'm not somebody who likes to fight for attention. You know what I mean? I'm very opportune in the moments I have to talk to people, and I ask if it's an appropriate time to do that, just respectfully. And I can tell you what those interactions were like.
And then,
you know,
and then after you say hello to them, do you say, "Now, do you want to see my coin stuff, my card stuff, or my award-winning stuff?" You know, Also, sorry, before you take off as well, you know who your connection would have been to meet Dan White was Dennis Kim said he was there at Magic Live and is shocked that he didn't run into you. So
didn't see him. Did not see him anywhere. I can't understand that happened. Like,
I mean, there's 1,500 magicians there, right? Do you feel you saw everyone there?
Yeah. Now, actually, it says here, Andy, we did meet. So it says here, I was fortunate enough to meet Nick Gay. So I was catching the elevator out that morning, and Andy was like, "Hey," I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You used to be in a band?" Yes.
Then you proceeded to do shots in the elevator.
Excellent.
That was great. It was really great. So look, I'll tell you what, I was there for several days prior. But I'll mention what my adventures were like if you guys are up for it, because it was something kind of special that happened whilst I was there. Now, Penn Teller, whilst touring Australia and especially in Melbourne, I had the pleasure of setting up a friendship with Teller, a lovely, lovely fellow that he is. So I dropped him a line that I was in town, while I was, prior to Magic Live, and he kindly invited me over to his home. And so we went to his home, a very secret destination, heavily guarded and heavily fortified. And he invited both myself and my business partner Nathan Hedger to hang out with him. And his home was such an experience in itself. It was wonderful. It was very welcoming. He's very kind, and it's a very eclectic. He's got a home where almost every wall has next to no space, because it's all just compassed with photos and just magic memorabilia and signed things. Yeah, his house, indeed, his actual home. He was kind enough to invite us over, and we had some cornbread with custard and blueberries and some hibiscus tea. And so we had a very, very fun,
fancy
fun time. And I can go into the details about it, but in truth, it's almost very difficult to recreate what his home is like, because it's built like a maze, and it is just secret room upon secret room upon secret room to get in and out of everything. Hilariously, there was a table that he had that kind of expanded to make it like an 8-seat table, and beneath it was a skeleton. And as you extend the table screams in pain, and the skeleton.
What?
And then he was like, "Oh, hang on a second. This is it's just the three of us having tea, right? You can probably make it smaller." And then I it's like a giant wheelhouse, like from like a boat. And I start to unwind it and it's going, oh, it's better. Like, just, alleviating that. So we're having tea in his kitchen, and it's just surrounded by all of this memorabilia from his time at the on the Big Bang Theory, and also he's a very big Simpsons fan. And so, we had our tea, and we cleaned up for the evening. We grabbed our teas, and we sort of pressed on to the library. And he's like, "This is some of the library." And as we're sort of going through the books, and he's showing us everything, and he's like, "Oh, and naturally, bang!" He pulls a book, and then the library opens into his office.
Oh wow! Come on.
So we then enter into his office, and we're sitting around a round table, and he's just sharing stories upon stories about history. And it's such a privilege to get into.
I think I have goosebumps right now, just for the record.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much better than that, right?
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, you're sitting in the man's home where he creates, in his office. And, I was asking questions about, we were talking about like the Indian mango trick, and how he saw it for the first time, and how it's done, and other experiences. And then we're talking about all these different methods to make pot plants and things appear. And one of the most amazing bits was, he goes, what would happen is, because he knew the history so well, he was like, they would play this song, and he'd leap out of his chair and go to his computer, and he would play the song, and then run back to the table and describe what was happening. And as he's doing this, like he's so in it. And he explained what it was like when he first saw it. You know what I mean? And as he's doing this, like, he's got tears coming out of his eyes.
What?
As he's telling the story, like, he's just reliving that moment, and he's sharing it with us. He's sharing so much. There was this giant crucifix in the in the office, and in that office was it was basically a piece of memorabilia that Houdini had used, and it was a means of sort of escaping from that. And I won't get into the secrets within that, but it was really, really cool. And what was even cooler was that he was explaining that, he stayed with some friends, and he was working on the cups and balls while I was quite young. And he was like, "Oh, I was just working on the cups and balls." Like, "Why don't you take those cups there in this blue bag?" And I was like, "I've been practicing with those. Those were the cups that belonged to Hofzinser."
Oh my God.
Come on.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Here they are." And he puts them on the table, and I'm literally handling Hofzinser's cups, it's staggering. Doug, there was a gentleman, and I'm trying to recall his name. I was racking my brain, but with the lack of sleep I've had over the several week or so, I can't recall. But there was a gentleman who basically had this routine, a lot of beautiful routines using cards, coins, whatever else. He also did a thing with a kettle where you would listen to a kettle. Do you know who this gentleman I'm talking about is? Don something, perhaps?
From the past, or a modern performer?
Yes.
The talking tea kettle. Who did that trick?
Well, we're talking
Short
about the
answer is
mythology
no.
of this person and how his works would have got lost to time, and how Teller basically saved this guy's works. How that they went back to this home where like it had been sold on, and the new family that were there, who was like, we're looking to do some history on this particular magician, and I'm so regretful I can't remember who it is, because I didn't know who he was, but he shared this
David
history with
Abbott.
us. David Abbott, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
I googled it
Oh.
up. So there we. I'm
Yeah.
pretty good with the sleight of hand references, but you give me some actual magic history from like that, I'm lost with the stage things.
So with all the Abbott magic and all the sort of things, like he was talking about how they went through all the difficulties of trying to like save his works and maintain it and all the beautiful things he created, and they came across copies of his books and his notes, but all of the figures were missing, like all of the pictures that accompanied the explanations were all gone. But then they managed to find negatives of the actual photographs, and they're like, great, now we got to figure out which applies to which. And they went through all this time figuring that out, and then just most recently they managed to find the full original with all the original notes and the original pictures and everything in there. And it's going to be coming out, that level of work. And the thing is, it got this close to being destroyed in a fire, and they managed to save it. So all this work is thankfully to Teller, like doing this and putting these efforts in is absolutely amazing. But yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
This is wild. And this is all, by the way, this is all before Magic Live has even started.
Even begun, correct. And so
like, you could have come back to Brisbane. You could have come back to Melbourne and been perfectly fulfilled with that experience, it sounds like.
Honestly, after like the first day of Magic Live, before like just on the day of registration, I'd had so much fun that I was like, if I had to fly home tomorrow, I'd be like, this is great. Like that's how content I was with all my time that I was there.
I just Googled Teller's age. He's 76. How amazing is that you can still have such passion for your art and share it and love it so much in 76 and still so active. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. He's in great shape. He's taking care of himself. He has had his issues in the past, but he seemed to have gotten on top of that. As you do, you sort of, the wheels come off.
76. I just hope I can get out of bed. That'd be my goal for the day. Get out of bed. That's it.
But he's doing great, and with how many staircases and things in his house, like you need to be in shape just to get around that thing, So after spending a lot of time there, what was wonderful, he handed me this book. It was like a very, very, very old book, and he explained to me that this is a copy of the book where the first magic trick was ever printed in this, and it's a book on like
Discovery of Witchcraft. You held the Discovery of Witchcraft.
I held it.
Wow.
Clicked through it. It was basically like a knife through tongue type of thing, explaining how it worked in there. And but there was the OG copy. Like, there you go.
Wow.
Wow.
There can't be too many of those on the planet. I can't imagine there's more than. Did you get a number? Did he say?
No, I didn't dig into it that far, but erroneous. It's pretty special, for him to just be like, check this out,
Did you touch the book? You actually touched it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, yeah. I'd think that book's staying under glass if it's in my house.
Well, I asked him, I go, don't I need gloves? And he goes, no, you don't need to, because the way the paper is made with the wax and a blah, 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 it's not an issue. You can use it all you like. That's why the book's so old and it looks great.
Wow, cool.
Staggering. Absolutely staggering, Yeah.
Man.
And so we're talking about all this sort of stuff. We're talking about pictures and stories, and he's like, this is the thing, and that's where the crucifix was in this particular photo, and this is when Houdini was doing this escape with this particular thing, and it was amazing. But one of my most favorite moments was when we first arrived. He explained, he's like, this is a photograph. It was, he's like, it's really cool. It's like this guy from wherever it was from, is like Belgium. He's like, he takes these photographs, but in X-ray, and it was an X-ray photo of a rabbit in a hat. But it was like an X-ray, so you kind of see the rabbit in the hat, and you're like, "This is really cool." This is really cool. And then it was like, "Yeah, I love this photo. I kind of love the idea of like the rabbit jumping out at some point. I just think it's cute." I'm like, "That is really cute." So we do the whole tour, and then as we're leaving, he stops and stands there for a second, and he says a little something, and then walks away, just enough for us to notice that the rabbit has left the hat.
Oh,
Like,
Holy.
but he planned so many beautiful bits of magic for us. Like he's got this giant metal bear. He originally saved it from, I think, like a nature reserve and so forth, and then put it in his backyard, and then put a speaker in it. So when you go down, it's like, "Hey, Nick, how's it going? Thanks for coming to visit." And he does a card force, and it was like, "You're thinking of this card." Like he put so many bits of magic around the house for us to experience as we walked about. So it was like a very magical tour of his home, and it's just to sit opposite him, just to high five him would have been enough, Like it was such an epic experience. So we sat in this room for a while, and we talked about all things magic. We talked all history until eventually it was like, okay, let's move on, and so we go on through the tour, and we go through a few more bits, and he shows us other bits of the house and bits of history. His partner Gene has a very big love for movies and so forth. He's got so many signed copies of Gone with the Wind, and costumes from that era and from those movies and so forth. And Clark Gable, who played the male lead role in that movie, like signed pictures of him. And they're all over the wall. So just experiencing that was just so cool, man. Like it was just so cool, as well as all the books in the library. And it was just staggering, And there's a couple other bits that I'm not sure if I should even mention, because it was just so crazy and wild. And I feel like he led us into this realm that was so private that I don't feel like it's respectful to sort of share what I'd seen, like in his gym and in his swimming pool. And I'll say that much, but it was just such an amazing experience, and his level of kindness and the design of his home is very unique. It's very, very cool, very functional. It's just a remarkable experience.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
Fuck! So happy for you.
We deserve this, Norita. We deserve every bit of it.
I know.
Yeah. So after we hung out and we got a wonderful tour, and it was just really educated on these beautiful stories, very personal stories about his life, and his birthday parties and so forth. Like the coffin there's a coffin in the hallway, and there was a whole experience and story as to why that was there. Even just the time being on the TV shows, time with the Simpsons, all the other things he was into. It was just wonderful, to hear it from his mouth to my ears. And so once that wrapped up, he was kind enough to say, "You guys will be guests at my show, at the Penn Teller show tonight at the Rio." So we said, "Thank you kindly." And he had to get a haircut and get some things done. And so we parted ways that evening. And then we went home, washed up, and then went to go see the show. And, we handed in our tickets, and they said, "Oh, when the show finishes, don't leave, just stay put. And then we'll go backstage and hang out afterwards." I'm like, "That sounds wonderful." So as I'm walking through, Javi Benitez is there in the front row. If you don't know who he is, he's done some of the most wonderful work on palming that I've ever seen. An amazing Spanish magician. And to me, probably the strongest performer of the entire Magic Live run.
Wow.
Like, he was so strong. Like, he opened
Did you do SpongeBob magic on Penn and Teller? Is that correct, or am I?
That was Gabrielle. Who did that? His name escapes me right now. But he was here recently in Melbourne for the Melbourne Magic Festival. And his lecture was phenomenal. Lovely guy, and strong magic. That whole Spanish realm. These guys are all sort of mentored by Miguel Angalgea, who's one of my favorite coin guys. Miguel was there, but I was too scared to sit down with him. When you don't want to meet your heroes, that's Miguel for me. Like, I don't want to sit there for too long. Like, I had a polite conversation, and even it's that sort of thing with Teller. But I guess I've spent enough time with Teller as time has gone on that it's like I'm okay to sit with him now, But yeah, that fear of meeting those people. So anyway, circling back to the show, he's there with a bunch of other awesome Spanish magicians. We're sitting down. Then I end up sitting next to Martin Christensen, who was the 2022 FISM winner. And
yeah. How did you say his name?
Martin.
Right. Yeah. This is the he's from Denmark. I reacted to one of his Fool Us videos, and I was so blown away by his creativity. If anyone hasn't watched it, before he goes into what Nick's about to go into, like he basically starts with a video, a performance of like whatever happens to this picture will happen to me, or whatever happens to me will happen to this picture. And he does just some really creative stuff that you don't expect to see happen. And I'm just saying that to foreshadow you going to watch it. That's all. But he seems like a really nice guy on film. So what was he like?
So lovely. So lovely. Like he, you know, when you meet people and they just sort of become part of your magic DNA, like they influence you in some way or another. It was like that being around these guys, you know, like you have these conversations and their words matter to you. You know, when you got people like that you care about and they say stuff, it really hits you and you kind of, it becomes a part of you. And it's a weird way of saying it, but I've met so many people that I did bump into. They're like, that guy's part of my magic DNA. Like things that he says, I believe, and I carry that with me in my magic ethos now. And it was really nice having a chat with him because Denmark is such a small place. He's like, name 3 Denmark magicians, like Rune, and who else? Him.
Wow.
It's like, yeah, like I can't think of anyone else. And it, you know, one of the conversations we had was kind of like, you know, the strangest thing is when you meet people, you know, and then they think like, oh, I'm like you. And it's like, I'm a magician. I'm just like you. And it's like, well, you're not like me because, you know, like I've said it in the past, it's like, I'm not a cover band, you know, I'm not doing other people's stuff. Like I'm creating all this stuff from scratch. And I'm saying, and I loved it because I said to him that when you see these performers and this level of like manipulation and these techniques to like levitate playing cards and all this kind of stuff, you know, and I'll touch upon some of the things that I saw as we touch upon Magic Live, and we'll try to wrap this up. But it's just this level of creativity that you really got to appreciate because it's not taught anywhere. It's not in a book. It's not anywhere. They just gone, I'm going to figure this out. And he goes, that's what you got to do. You don't wait for it. You don't look for it. You just figure it out. Don't fool around. Just figure it out in your own way. And it's a scary place to be because I remember going into that realm myself where I was like, I really want to do this thing, but I can't find it. Or I found that when I was creating in my early days that I would create something, but then it already existed. And then I got to the point where it was like, I've created something. Now I need to go find where it exists. It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. It's like you came up with it independently and out it goes, right? And then when you do find out that it does belong to someone, you can say, I came up with this myself one day, although it does already exist, credited to blah. You do the right thing in that sense, but you don't need to validate everything you create. You don't need to do that, okay? So I digress, but my interaction with him was absolutely wonderful. And the story doesn't end with him just there, but I got to sit with him, watch this show, which was absolutely brilliant. They did some extremely fooling magic. I finally got to see the cow vanish, which is a very nice. Like a rarity to be able to do at the Penn Teller show.
It's a live cow vanish?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, I say it's a cow. It's actually a pygmy elephant.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a pygmy elephant that makes chocolate.
Never works.
So brilliant stuff. They did this whole routine, and I don't want to give anything away in case you see it, but it's this whole thing that you're like, what is going on here? And then it circles back quite literally, and it's like, this is genius. Like it blows your mind how clever this is. I absolutely love this. So show finishes. We're all hanging about, and it's just myself and a bunch of other Spanish magicians and a few other cats, and we all get invited backstage. And Penn's there, and Teller's there, and we're all shaking hands. And Penn's talking about music, and we're all just circled around Penn, and he's just talking about like Bob Dylan and touring and everything else, and all their level of creativity and playing bass and music. And it was really cool. We got gifted some show bags with some stuff.
Wow.
You know, for being there. And
this is still before Magic Live.
Yeah, this is before Magic Live. And
how
then
was the show attendance wise? Like I know the Rio's kind of on the down spiral. Is that showroom still filling up?
I believe it was their first show in 3 weeks or 3 months, something like that. They've been gone for quite a while.
Okay.
And so it was basically like their first show. He's like, we haven't performed in X amount of time, he explained.
All right.
So yeah, he goes, so we might be a little rusty, but they were great. They were absolutely brilliant. So
might be rusty after performing for 50 years together.
yeah, exactly. You know, so
was the theater full? That's what I was kind of asking.
To the brim.
Packed house.
To the brim. Absolutely.
Not surprising.
Yeah. There was, yeah.
I've heard bad things about the Rio recently. Like it's not the best Vegas resort to stay at.
Well, okay, I don't know about that, but it was my first time visiting there, and I liked it. I thought it was cute, like walking about there. The funny thing was there was also a Star Trek convention.
Oh, fascinating!
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
That was fun. A bunch of people all dressed up in cosplay, mucking about.
Man,
like
the nerdiest of the nerds convened on Vegas in the same week. Star Trek and Magic.
Yeah, I mean, Hedra and I ended up going to like a Guy Fieri taco like Mexican restaurant, and just making space for all these Trekkies who were just trying to get a feed. And I was like, oh, we got some space here, guys, if you want to sit at the bar. And I was like, oh, great. And we're sitting with these lovely ladies, they're probably like in their 60s and 70s, all dressed up to the nines with the blonde hair, all this sort of
that seems like that's like the perfect scenery for shooting street magic. Like,
I'm sure there was plenty of street magic shot.
Magic guy shows Trekkie the Jedi Force.
This is all wrong. That whole sentence is wrong, but you know what I mean.
Magic guy beams up card to his hand for Star Trek.
So
we're never going to get to the actual convention tonight.
This is going to be
we're on day one of Nixon.
This is going to be a 3-part series. Okay.
Yeah. Look, we'll plow through the rest of it. And what ended up happening after that was we finished up hanging out with everyone, and these lovely Spanish magicians. We all set up a friendship, and we wanted to get a bite to eat, so we ended up going to Fremont Street, which I'd never been to before.
How great is
that place wild?
Right?
Yeah, it is wild. If you guys scope out my Instagram, which is Nick K Magic, all one word, you can see some of the bits of us walking about with Mortine and everyone else through Fremont Street. It is wild. I've never seen anything like it. So yeah, we did that until stupid hours of the morning, then called it a night, and then basically checked into.
Curious if you saw any street performers. I know it's hot this time of year, but I know there's guys working Fremont. Did you see anybody?
I didn't see any magicians, man. That was the thing. There was no magicians there, unfortunately, but I saw
they're all at Magic Live. Right. I mean, you probably.
Yeah, or preparing for it or about to go there type of thing, But
it's also brutal to do magic in 100 degrees, no matter, right? I mean, it's just brutal.
Yeah, I mean, for the Aussie listeners, I think it was like 34 degrees at like 2 a.m.
Damn.
Zero relief.
Yeah. That is my recollection of the time I went to Magic Live, was you just freaking stayed in the hotel the whole time, unless you're going to the pool, because it was just disgusting.
Pool time was great time. Absolutely. So yeah, that was it. And, it was a wonderful night. I appreciate Teller's kindness and trust to allow us to go into his home and experience something so wonderful. And I hope I didn't break any rules by explaining how wonderful it was or upset him, but like it was great. And I'm
core memories there, man. Talk about a lifetime memory. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he will be back in Australia come February, and he said, you got to organize some stuff. Whatever you organize, just count me in. Just do it. And I was like, we can do that. So
that's right. He's touring. In January. What are the chances we can meet up together and do like a live interview with him or something? Like put some like a double camera live pod. Something to think about. We got a few months.
See if I can push the friendship, but let's start now. We've sort of hit the halfway point with Magic Live. All right. So I wanted to make sure that I don't sort of forget everything. So I have a copy of the program and everything that was covered. So when you finish at Magic Live on the last night, there's a great big party and they hand these out. You have like a little token and you claim one of these things. Cute book. It's kind of, for those listening, it's a book that's kind of shaped like an oval, like a half circle. And inside is all your lecture notes. So everything that you saw and read and so forth. Which is good because you weren't always able to catch all of the sessions just because of the time restraint. There was typically 2 groups. There was like a red group and a white group, and you weren't always able to see the same things as other people. And sometimes you were forced to see shows at like 11 o'clock at night. So what I thought I would do, just to make sure that I don't miss anything, sort of touch upon everything at Magic Live. So when you arrive at Magic Live, pretty typical stuff. You you rock up, you get your badge, you get your everything signed in. They also give you a backpack, which is dope. They give you like a full backpack.
Oh, cool.
And there's a bunch of program stuff in there explaining what the sessions are about. It's in this book here that I'm showing to screen.
Awesome.
And just, some of the bits that are going to be in there, the magicians, where the food is, things like that. So it's, just your diligence, so on that, in that front. But then you get all your bits in this, so you can go put your lecture notes in, buy your merch, etc., and just load that up. So everyone's just walking around with these backpacks, which is just awesome.
That is awesome. That's a great thing.
That's way
When
better
you're
than
asking big bucks for a convention, you provide that kind of swag. It's well played, guys.
Yeah.
I think the year I went, or you were there too, Nick, I think it was a hoodie or something. But a backpack, so much more fun.
Yeah, they gave you a jumper. They gave you a jumper in Vegas.
Yeah,
where it's
with like a little...
degrees.
Yeah.
Went straight to Goodwill. Like I had no business. It does look like a Google Play button.
YouTube Play button.
That actually is a YouTube Play button.
Yeah, but no,
that kind of makes sense.
The square is the play button from what's it called? Well, and that's a great question. So Dragotier did ask, why does it look like a Google Play button? That's because the theme this year was play. And so it's all about like play with magic, get around it. And I'll touch upon the first session that sort of dives into that. So the first session, so my program was like waking up in the morning and at 10 o'clock going to these morning sessions. So it started off with a gentleman called John Cox who ended up finding a diary from Harry Houdini. And basically it was just before he went kind of large in 1899. And he basically studied this thing to the point where like he was able to decipher Houdini's rather poor handwriting and explore upon that and like what they all meant. And there's entire pages that are blank. And basically this small book, it's a very, very small book, which was his diary, is now being sort of interpreted and then going to be put into a coffee table book. For those history buffs out there who are big fans of the amazing Harry Houdini, you have that to look forward to. And it's basically pre-famous escape
cool.
stuff.
That's real
It's
cool.
about his magic show bits and what he got paid. And then, he sort of writes down in his diary when he started making the big bucks and things like that. Like it's very, very fascinating. So I really enjoyed that. There was another gentleman there, which was Curtis Hickman, the Step Beyond Reality. If you guys are familiar with The Void, it's a VR experience. And if you remember in the lectures past, he talked about how he uses magic and VR to give him a sort of better experience. And he was talking about how he allowed, like how magic is used in conjunction with VRs to give him experiences. So for example, if you're standing on a podium and it's like an elevator, you push a button, you want to make it feel like you're going up. So what happens is you push the button and then the button goes down, which gives you the feeling that you're going up in the VR world. And he just basically explains all these different ways you can experience things in virtual reality, which is super cool. Nick DeFonte was the guy who was focusing on the playing, and he explained that everyone got a yo-yo with their actual show bag, for lack of a better word. And he was explaining how like just playing with this is kind of healthy, even to take a break from magic and use the yo-yo to sort of inspire things. He did a very hilarious thing where he actually got a person to dress up in like a full red, almost like green screen outfit, but it's red. And then he had like a ribbon, and he was explaining with this person how to do tricks as a yo-yo, with the person playing the role of the yo-yo.
Hold on. Do you have this yo-yo with you?
Yeah, give me a second.
Can you do a little walk the dog or rock the baby for Dragotier here? He says, do a trick.
No,
I remember learning.
I haven't unwound it. It's still got its little sticky bits on there and so forth. And just for the sake of time. But apparently it's a good one. It's a spinner. It's like a proper spinner, like one of those sorts of numbers.
Are you a yo-yo guy, Nick?
I was sort of just for kicks, but yeah, I got some friends that are deeply into it and actually do it in their magic tricks. Like they kind of throw cards in the air, like with, and then it ends up stuck inside the yo-yo type of thing. My friend David Chu does that. I'll be seeing him in Malaysia very soon.
I'll just say quickly as well, I've always thought, for Trick a Day May, I used a yo-yo for a trick once. And because when you unwind a yo-yo, it's a string. And so I did that and then did a cut and restored rope with the string. So you take it out, cut it, then restore it again back to normal, bring the yo-yo back up. I'm surprised people don't Start exploring with yo-yos, my friends. That's all I'm saying. But now, you know,
That's great,
1,500 magicians now have a yo-yo, so I'm sure someone's going to do something
Yeah.
with it.
Well,
But you've basically got a rope that makes sense why you have a rope now, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, something to think about.
No, that's great advice, man. I'll sort of pace through these relatively quickly as far as these sessions go, right? We'll go through all the morning sessions and power on.
Well,
so
just as well, it's also like the stuff that happened out, you know, the shenanigans you got up to, I think, is what everyone wants to also hear about. So please don't leave out those details.
Absolutely.
For me to live vicariously through you. Okay.
Absolutely. So there was a couple other bits. Young and Strange, the amazing UK duo, they were hosting this particular session. They did a tutorial on how the baby spikes works. For those of you that don't know what the baby spikes illusion is, it's effectively a very large cardboard box, and then you have close to 20 odd dowels, long wooden sticks of dowel that are sharpened at the each end, and you basically put your assistant in the box, you stab the crap out of the box, and the person in there is stuck. They wave a white flag typically, everything gets pulled out, they come out unscathed. And they explained that illusion, and that whole tutorial was called like the $9 illusion, because the box is $9 and away you go. So very, very cool trick. And it was very cool to see it. I've seen it many a times, but they actually showed it with like an overhead camera and what's involved with actually achieving that illusion, which is super duper cool. Another morning session was Adriana Cabrone, who's responsible for the End book test. It's probably one of his most recent amazing feats. And he basically did a creativity class, which was super cool.
He's a great creator, Angelo Carbone, man. Like, he doesn't miss. So
yeah,
I'm sure that was great.
Yeah, and thankfully what he also did was he basically had these like 3 wheels that you would spin just for the sake of creating. He was kind enough to make one in such a way that it's online, and you scan a QR code and you can like do your own spins and do that. And I don't think that would probably be an issue to share that. We might share that on the Discord for fun. You know, so you guys can have a bit of a creative tinker with it, you know? So, so we did that. We had the Art of Shaping Perceptions by Gabrielle Wehrlein. That was pretty cool. And then there was a children's magic one that actually got canceled. So, yeah. Mike is talking about my favorite lecture, which I will mention shortly. Now, in the next general session, there was Master Payne, who was hosting the whole thing. He did a very good presentation on how to present. This was probably one of the better general sessions that day, because it was all about presentation and so forth. But for me, the standout person in that one was actually John Armstrong.
Oh,
John Armstrong spoke, and man, brilliant. And what the most important thing, and look, and just so you get like the most value out of this episode, this is what you need to take away from John Armstrong's lecture, okay, or his talk. Close-up magic is conversational, and stage magic is presentational. Okay? I'm going to say it again. Close-up magic, conversational, stage magic, presentational. When you understand that, it just makes so much sense why someone like myself, who can chat to the cows come home, crushes it in the close-up game, you know, in a roving sense, because I can do that, and I can, you know, but yeah, when people think they can just translate this conversational skill set to the stage, they're doing it wrong, because you need to present in the cleanest, most direct, most appropriate way, you know? So he covers all that and the many different methods in order to do that, and how
He's
to
got a recent book published on kind of that whole subject. I think Winning, is that the name of the book? On
yeah, it might be right.
bringing close-up magic to the stage. And
yeah, so one of the things he touched upon, thanks for bringing that up, Doug, because what he actually said was, you know, it's like, oh, how did you go on stage? Like, oh, I killed it. I killed the audience. Because we don't kill the audience, we win the audience. We win the audience over.
Right.
You know what I mean? So how'd you go? Did you win? I won. I won them. I won their affection. I won their respect. I won them. So when you think about that concept of winning your audience over, very important stuff. So then there was a gentleman who from the CIA, who was talking about how to profile people so you can choose the most appropriate spectator. That was wild.
Wow.
Emily Robinson, who did this amazing Acorn card at any number on Fool Us. She explained how that works.
Is this the one that everyone was like, it was what's the right word? It was
Confederate is what you're thinking?
controversial, where they were like, yeah, with the one that had the handheld mic, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Controversial, why?
Well, people thought that wasn't there a thing going around? Oh, she just. Well, I don't know if I want to say methods, but it was like she just,
I love it when people accuse magicians of cheating.
Yeah, there was something about like she just dubbed his voice or something or other, and is that fair to do in the show or whatever? I don't know. But it was great because it made people talk about it. So, it's not a bad thing. It's just what I remember hearing about it.
It was great. It was very good. Andrew Main. There's a name you haven't heard in a while.
Oh, yeah. I saw a picture of him. Yeah. How fun was that?
He was awesome. It was so great to sit opposite him. This guy, his brain is too big for his head.
Is he still active in Magic?
Dude, you know what he does?
What does he do?
He's like one of the top guys for like ChatGTP.
Wow. That's not surprising. He's a smarty. So, yeah.
Like ChatGTP 4, his name's there. Like it's like Andrew Main did this stuff. Like the guy's genius.
Damn.
And also for Chat GPT as well, or just Chat GTP?
Whatever it's called. But that whole AI
GPT. Come on now.
GTP.
We know it. We love it.
I keep equating it to like car racing because I'm that guy. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Chat R2D2. I'm
did you race cars? Did you do that while you were there?
I didn't do race cars.
Right. We'll move on with the con then.
I didn't think it was appropriate with the lack of sleep that I had during the day. I felt like being at the wheel of a $400,000 supercar with 3 hours sleep was a bad idea. So I decided against it. So the other cool thing above that was Dynamo was a guest speaker.
Ooh, yeah.
And so he did a talk about how he's sort of rebranding from the Dynamo name to the Steve name.
That's going to be hard.
Yeah. Well, he's gone through some stuff. He's gone through some health issues and so forth. And he was very open about that, which is cool. So that was super cool. The next focus session, there was Javier Benitez, who did his stuff, super funny stuff. He does this bit with like false teeth. God, it's so funny. If you watch my shorts on my Instagram, you can see some of that stuff. Christian Engblom did some stuff with rubber bands and whatever else. And then Chris Philpott and Steve Valentine, whom I love, did some acting for magicians stuff, which I thought was very important because a lot of people don't think about that. Very important stuff.
Over the last year, I've become the biggest Steve Valentine fan. Like, he's such a pro.
Such a lovely guy. And he has this ability. I don't know how he does it, but like when he says hello to you, you feel like the most important person in the world. You're like, nothing else matters. He just has this like gravitas. It's amazing. He's a beautiful human. The next session was like interviews one after the other where they had Martine Christensen, Danny Garcia, Christopher Hart, Taylor Hughes, Eric Tate, and Rachel Wax. And they basically, every time somebody finished an interview, they then became the interviewer, and then the next person became the interviewee. And they just kept swapping over like this.
They're doing what, like 10, 15 minutes each? Is that what it is? Just a little chat to move on? Yeah. I like it.
That was basically it. And I think that it's not mentioned here, but in that session, I do recall that Mike Cavney got up and did some talks about learning Magic Online and so forth, in which he also brought up Dave Williamson. They talked about Dave Williamson's Slide School and all the different platforms in which you can learn Magic Online and through proper schools and through good tutelage. And sure enough, the amazing Dog Khan, his school got admitted.
LearnSleighthand.com, the Magic portal we talked about.
You bet.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll do the blatant plug. There we are.
That's right. LearnSleighthand.com got a great big plug in front of all the magicians at Magic Live. And looking forward to when that all comes to fruition. The other thing outside of that was Miguel Angalgea did a lecture. I was struggling to stay awake for that one just because of it's just Wednesday, the third night in. Probably one of the best lectures. I think my favorite lecture, somebody did ask, which is my favorite lecture? It's pretty much between Javier Benitez and Miguel Angalgea. They're both sort of out of the same vein, but I think collectively, those two were the biggest influence for me. I took the most out of those two. Brian Brushwood was there. I actually had a bit of an embarrassing interaction with Brian Brushwood because I went to his stand to say hello, and I was just sort of about to fall asleep mid conversation, and I was like, I'm gonna pass out, and I was like, oh, you have to excuse my manners, Brian. I think I drank too much coffee and I haven't had enough sleep. I think I need to hydrate. May I be excused? And he was like, yeah, go. Like I just felt like it was a rude way to end the conversation with him because he was so polite.
It's a good way to get out of a conversation, actually.
Yeah.
I need a glass of water. I have to go. I'm gonna shit.
Yeah.
So I had to bail on that one. And then outside of that, there was a close-up clinic. Typically, these are where they have multiple tables and these guys sitting at each table, and you sit with them and they talk about things to teach. And you basically go between each one, learning some stuff. Now, this close-up clinic consisted of these magicians. It was Norman Beck, Kent Gunn, Laura London, Jeff McBride, Gary Plants, right?
Gary's
John
a gem.
Oh, isn't he just?
Yeah,
He
really
John
is.
Wilson, yeah. John Wilson and R. Paul Wilson. So that was really, really cool to talk about all those guys.
Did you get to see Kent Gunn's Cups and Balls? Did you see that
No.
routine? Okay.
No, it's
I
brilliant.
was so happy to see him getting the spotlight on him. This Cups and Balls routine is quite unique, but
It's
oh well,
staggering,
you
isn't
missed
it?
it.
Yeah. It was hard to fit everything in.
Yeah,
honestly.
right.
And in between that, and even just from that getting to the dealer room, damn near impossible. But there's a few more things we'll touch upon, which is basically they had shows each evening, right? So one of which was a show called Tanto, Tanto, with these two amazing magicians, which was Paco Agrado and Giancarlo Scalia.
I love Giancarlo Scalia. Oh my God, he is incredible.
Well, this act was so brilliant, so unique. It was a full card show that played to, I think maybe like, it felt like 300 people in this room, maybe more, with one table, one stage, and one screen. And it was brilliant, my friends. It was absolutely brilliant. Like, just staggering.
Look, I don't toot my own horn a lot, but it's hard to fool me with a deck of cards. This guy smoked me over and over again at will with his travelers and palming. It's like, are you kidding me with what I'm seeing?
It's like the cleanest type of magic, and it's so impossible that it's really staggering. So their act was absolutely brilliant. That was one of the most wonderful experiences we got to have in the show. Outside, as well as that, we also another thing called the close-up experience. The close-up experience consisted of Javi Benitez, who opened the show, and I got to tell you, man, he was such a strong opener that nobody else could hold a candle to his performance. He came out so strong and so funny and so mind-blowing. Then he went and now to be serious for a second, and then closed this beautiful Fism-esque type routine, which I think he may have done on Full House with some beautiful palming and some bits. Did all that, and then called it a night. And then the next act came out. The next act being Danny Garcia.
Oh, he came out and performed.
Bro, he hasn't performed in 10
Damn.
years, he said. He hasn't done actual performances in years. So he's out there
That's
doing
not true. He did a show at Tricks. He was on the bill there in November.
Nice.
That's a minor lie. He crushed it. He kills.
Well, just words from his mouth. He's like, I haven't performed in 10 years. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So
He probably says that every time he goes on stage.
probably smart guy, smart way to go about it. So
I might start saying that at every corporate gig.
yeah, I haven't performed in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was him, Christian Ingblom, which was great. Really fooling stuff. And also Miguel Angel, who closed the evening, and rightly so. He covered everything he did in that show in his lecture, and it was just staggering, just geniusly staggering. So that was really good. Another big, and I'll get to the juniors in just a moment, because those guys were absolutely brilliant, and I got to find out who these kids were, because man,
Can we also find out about the dealers hall?
absolutely,
There was a lot of, now post Magic Live, there's a lot of hype about Tobias's liquefy or liquid effects.
Maybe.
I mean, and obviously he's tempted us with that routine in a lot of his videos in the past, but now that
Correct.
it's actually a product, did you get to see it?
I did get to see it.
Or did you buy one?
I thought about buying it, but I was like, it's just not what I want to do. I want to do something original with a ring. and I haven't quite tapped into it yet, but I know that's not what I want to do. But it's a beautiful effect if you haven't seen it, where you can take a piece of metal or a ring and you dip your finger in it and it looks like it's turned to liquid, and just by spinning it around your hand, it turns into a ring on your finger. It's very cool. If I got one, it'd be just as a utility to keep in the shelf, but it's not something I want to perform immediately. But I do think it's very cool.
Is it because it's not something you would keep on you at a gig? Like, is it?
Yeah, it was
kind of a feeling.
It was that type of thing where it's like, I get it, but it's not going to enter my working repertoire.
Right.
Right. But I would do it for like a piece. Sure. It's very cool. You get multiple colors, multiple different things to do. It's not just like one thing. So it's a very good kit for this effect. And I think it's totally worth it. Yes. Little Big Show was great. It was, that's where Christian Mortine performed his FISM act. Absolutely brilliant. There was Christian Hart, Rachel Wax. We went over that. And these guys were absolutely brilliant. Okay. But what I want to just give a quick plug to the juniors. So the juniors did their act. I actually think the juniors act was stronger than the actual close-up gala. It was hosted by a good friend, Taylor Hughes, and 4 amazing juniors who performed their acts. And it was just brilliant, man. Like, just for the sake of time, I won't get into what their acts were like, but one kid was a theater kid who performed his bit and absolutely slaughtered. There was the opening act who did a beautiful manipulation act where he had like a rose and did some stuff. And then the music stops and then you hear rain, and then it's raining on the kid. Like, he's just got rain running down his face and all over his suit. And he's just like producing water from places. Like, and this is a kid who's like, he's like 17 or something.
Look, that's
like
not easy.
Children.
Magic with liquid is insanely challenging.
Yeah. And he just did all this beautiful manip, all these guys were brilliant. These other kids, Zach, he did this act with headphones, like multiplying headphones, like a very cool street-esque type routine. Just like, you see that and you just think like, oh, thank God, magic is in safe hands. You know what I mean? So just absolutely wonderful. So that effectively covers everyone we needed to. Like, that's the little diary we was talking about. But with the remaining time that we have, we can talk about this for ages and ages, obviously, but I think we should touch upon the dealer's room, because the dealer's room is always epic. I bought some bits. I didn't get too carried away, okay? But I bought some bits.
You didn't buy any drones this time?
I didn't buy any drones this time. I did get close, but I was, so I found this jumbo coin, and I was super happy to do that.
Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that thing?
I got this from SEO Magic.
SEO Magic. That's like a 9-incher, huh?
Yeah, let me measure that.
SEO, is it plastic or metal?
It's plastic.
Yeah, all right.
Which is good because
nice.
Yeah. The only thing is I wouldn't want to hand this out to the kids. The kids will snap it in half, like that's the only thing. You can hand out your normal jumbo dollar, but this is a giant half dollar. That's going to be good. I was also gifted some old vintage magic from some friends up there. So I got like Fantasio candles, like in full brand new condition.
Those are great.
Yeah, like and my friend Taylor Hughes was like, "Oh, I know all this stuff," and he showed me. He goes, "Wow, it's so rare. These are like fully brand new, like they've never been used." And I'm like, "Yeah, right." I've
been wanting some of those. Like, I love that gimmick, the vanishing candle.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or actually, the appearing candle is the way to go because it goes both ways.
Yeah.
I don't even,
Yeah, I was also gifted an old vanishing bird cage because I'm playing with a bit of an idea with the old vanishing bird cage type of thing, and you can.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm trying to tinker with that. I got like a bunch of other I got like a metal canes, like full OG metal canes from the 90s. They were good to me. There was this really cute bunny, like it's kind of like a Rocco thing, like a Rocco raccoon, but it's a little bunny.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think.
Yeah. Cool.
I think this. I just had to have it. I just think it's so cute. Look at it.
I think that was a drunk buy. I think maybe you hadn't slept much when you bought that.
Speaking of drunk buys, this shot glass by TCC Magic. That's a good buy.
Oh, really that is on the way. That is on the way to me currently.
What is it?
Cool.
Yeah.
What does that do?
Basically, you have a silk. You show it, front and back, very very empty, like hands totally like this, and then you just shot glass.
It's a new holdout for a shot glass. Is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I bought a notifier from Illuminati Magic. I use some of their products already, and I just wanted to be able to slowly build upon a couple of more ideas I had. They were very kind to spend a lot of time with me there. That was very, very
What
cool.
is a notifier, Mr. K?
It's basically for anyone who exists within the Illuminati
You better finish that sentence.
The Illuminati ecosystem. There is a lot of things that sort of communicate with that, and basically this is a little miniature screen that can communicate to you either by vibrating or by actually showing certain entities that you might want to know. It might be something to the effect of like, take a card and put it under your seat and you can see what it is, little things like that.
All right.
Yeah, so there's
miracle class stuff.
Yeah, very, very clever stuff. I've never had a thumb rider, but I decided to get this one, which is called Epic Rider. I've sort of packaged it up because the package was quite large.
Is that a Sharpie?
No, it's actually a pen. It's an actual pen, and I like that. I was like, this is good. So,
the LEDs are like sketchy at best, hard to control, and not something really anyone generally uses these days. So.
That I really liked. I really, really liked that. So, now there's. I also bought this from. This is the Jumbo Card Trick by Martin Christensen.
Right.
This is apparently it's just a very comedy-based routine, and it wasn't expensive, and there was 2 left, and I was like, I'll take it. And then I was like, hey, there's no tutorial. You got to teach this to me, Martin. And he was like, you send him an email, they'll send it to you. I'm like, okay. So,
and then after you left, he put another one more on the table. Said, only 2 left.
I reckon that's how they get you. I got this amazing gimmick. I asked Bizarro to make these for me, where you have like a jumbo coin and you just sort of peel back the chocolate and you can eat the chocolate. And then
I saw what pics you were hanging with Bizarro too, right? You were out.
Well, I've had a lot of good times with Bizarro. Bizarro was actually he's very good friends with Doc Andrew.
And
Bizarro
hasn't been on the show yet. We need to get Bizarro on this show.
I'll reach out to him, man, and ask him. Absolutely. He's got some stuff coming out, so we may as well sweat him for it.
Look, he should just come on. We go way back, me and Bizarro.
Yeah. And so when I first went to Magic Live, he was very kind and took me to some cool places to eat, and then took me to
Bizarro. Yeah.
The what's it called? The
Pinball Museum.
Thank you, the Pinball Museum. This is a pantomime
Bizarro thing. Yeah.
It's a pantomime.
We did this.
I bought this book from Joshua J called The Particle System, and this is based off a new stack type work that he does. I don't do a lot of stack work, and I've been spending the past few weeks getting it around mnemonica, and I thought, hey, why not learn another stack that you don't know?
Why that system? Can you give us
I've not read in depth enough to know about it, but from the very little that I read on the flight home, and I flew home at midnight, so I didn't want to be that guy with the light on.
Yeah.
Getting everyone around him.
Right.
But there is basically just a lot of cool things about it where within 2 Pharaoh shuffles, it's within, like, you're in that stack and you can achieve these types of things. And it's super easy to remember. You can do a couple of things in which, with a couple of cuts and shuffles that it basically goes back to like the new deck order type of finish and things like that. Yeah. So even William Fisher is saying, like, I wonder why you don't do more stack work. I know, I get it because a stack is in an index. I get it, So yes, I am working on that. But there was this thing here. This is called Gravity Clips by Vanishing Ink. And I wanted to give this a quick shout out because I don't know what to do with it just yet, but I just know I had to have it. And what it is, it's a, I'll describe it for the listeners out there, but effectively it's just a bunch of bulldog clips on a string. Okay. But what's cool about it, right? And in fact, maybe I can give you a quick demonstration as I sort of, I'll give it as I circle back. I'll circle back with a demonstration in just a second. But a couple of other things that I saw was there was this particular deck that I bought from a gentleman called Peter, and it's the Invoke deck.
Oh, I met that guy in Texas. That's a killer Mark deck.
Oh my God. Imagine a Mark deck on steroids.
Yeah, that's true. It's like Mark like 8 ways or something like that, right? It's insane.
Yeah, because the way we spoke about it was I was sharing ideas that I had, and I have this idea for an effect. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. And he was like, I got you, my guy. Give me a call. and that was literally how it went. And so Peter is an engineer who's now released this deck, and he's trying to get it out there into the market. You know what I mean? So, I would love to find a way to be able to help him. But I'm going to show you this gravity eclipse thing as I slowly got set up as we were chatting away. So the idea is that you can kind of have a whole bunch of things sort of hung. And I like this idea because you could probably have this in your apartment, just holding photographs and stuff. Maybe some socks. And then they can, am I doing this correctly? I think so. And they can like make a choice. And let's say that like, hey, choose one of these. And they go, okay, now just say drop. And then everything drops except for one.
What?
Ooh. Whoa.
Oh, man.
Oh my word. That is exciting to see that.
And so I had to share this because I just feel that like, I don't know what to do with it yet. I've thought about a couple of things. It is something that I haven't tapped into yet, but I saw this and I just went, there's something there. There's something there.
So it doesn't have to be cards. Anything the clip holds? Is that
and then the clip holds. It could be anything. It could be, like, and then I just love the fact that it's not expensive. I think it was $40.
Wow, nice.
Can
the spectators hold it? Is this something that can happen?
Yeah, you could have a spectator hold it, but just keep in mind if it goes under tension, that's what releases it. So
okay, all right.
Okay, so I mean, I don't think it's bad to expose it. Because I believe that just by showing this to this wonderful audience, that you guys will probably get around it. So
I have a feeling there's an old thing you do with if there's 5 objects and you get them to think of one and then move a certain amount depending on what number they're on, and you can basically force what they end up on. I feel like the starting point would be something like that. Yeah, and you've got the audience now thinking about one object, and then only that one stays hanging. Like maybe that's something to start off with. Anyways,
I think I don't know. I feel like there's something there. Like I don't know what it is, but
it's just cool.
It is just cool, and I was like, I need that. So I'm going to scope out the tutorial, I think, later on today, which I'm not going to show, but it's there, and see what that's about. I also bought this thing here called Emotions. I love this idea. This is basically a marked deck, and in this deck, in between each one, there's like a list of emotions on there, and you can get people to think of one and choose one and so forth, and you can basically identify what emotions they're thinking of. And I love this because I was like, there's an idea there. I have this idea of being like, I'm 40 now, and guess what? I'm very proud to announce I finally have a girlfriend. Why? Because I'm able to understand and read their emotions without even knowing a single thing. I'm going to prove it to you. Like I just have this idea of like presenting it in this very comedic, fun way where it's like you're thinking of a word, and it's just like, I'm like, just invoke that emotion. I go, you're either constipated or you're angry. I'm going to go with angry. I think it's like a fun moment there that I could play with in my presentation. I got some amazing decks from Xavier Spade. I've got this thing here, Duality Pro. This is probably my favorite purchase.
Duality
Pro by Cobra Magic. I wanted to buy a lot of stuff from Cobra Magic. They have this chair that's a gaff, and it's like it shocks your balls as well. And I wanted that, but it just had this function that I wanted that it didn't have. And that's the only thing that sort of dodged me. But Duality is good. Like, it's very good. It's basically the ability to do a prediction, a video prediction. So the effect, if I could describe the effect, okay? I had my mobile phone, and I explained that you had to choose. I knew you're going to choose that number because before I came out, I made a video. Let me play the video. And then I play the video, and I say, hey, I'm just backstage, blah, blah, blah. And there was this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it like this. I go, I'm going to film this guy in the front row, that cat there. He's going to think of this, like he's thinking of a number. I'm guessing it's going to be this. I'm going to before I show you, think of the number. And I knew you're going to say that, and you can show that it's written down like on a piece of paper, but you do it live. So I can literally do this and go show you a video and go, Doug, name a 2-digit number. And you say
32.
Terrific. And then I just do this, and I got 32 written on the wall behind me on a piece of paper.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah. Wow. It's a very, very clever piece. It's not cheap. Retails are $400 US. but they were doing a special on it, so I bought it. But man, there was
they only had 2 left.
Yeah. Copeland coins. Copeland coins have this amazing gaff, which I bought in the Eisenhower setup to do what I think is probably some of the most fooling matrix work. I don't do matrix work. I wish I did. I don't particularly like it. But I saw this and I was like, I could use this for so many things that I decided to buy it.
Big fan of Copeland coins. I love Jeff Copeland and what he's doing over there.
Those 2 boys, he and Sean, Roy and Sean, I have all the time in the world. I love them. I have all the time in the world for them. They're absolutely brilliant people.
Yes. Yes. Good folks.
Yep. I bought this thing called the AI Assistant, which is basically a one-man show. You can cue your show from it using your phone. That was a very handy piece of kit.
Who was selling that?
That was also Cobra Magic.
Cobra Magic, huh?
Cobra Magic. Yeah. That comes with a
Control
30-day.
Your show with your phone, huh?
Yep. So you have like a 30-day free trial on this one. So I got
is that Bluetooth then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they it comes with this remote.
Okay, there we go.
Tiny. It's about the size of a $50 circular remote, and you can cue your show from that if you need to.
What were they selling that for?
It's a subscription piece.
Oh yeah, you said that. Yeah,
$5 a month or $7 a month, depending on how much you commit to. But Copeland, all the time in the world, really nice people, really sweet folks. There was The Stranger, which was a product by Jonathan Levitt, and it's $1,000 for this product. He marked it down for the what's it called? Is
that what he's charging for that?
Yeah, it's a beast of a product.
It's the modern wizard.
It's staggering how good this thing is.
$1,000 though? Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. Like
Did you get it?
No, I didn't, but it's on my radar. Like if I have the capacity to perform it more often, yes, I would do that. Yeah, I have no beef about that. I think it's worth it. I'll say that much. But man, it's really something. I would love to actually invite him on the show to talk about the depth of it. You know what I mean? I'd love to invite a lot of these guys, Cobra Magic, to come on the show and say, like, let's talk about your products. You know what I mean? But with the time, 7 minutes over time, we could talk about this at the cows come home, as well as the cool gaff decks and stuff that I come across, or this beautiful gift that I got from Teller, which is "When I'm Dead, All This Will Be Yours" by Joe Teller, a portrait by his kid Teller, which he signed for me on the inside. Yep, there is it. There it is.
You, Nick K.
To Nick, from your old pal and fan.
Oh my God, you bastard. Well, look, with all of the Magic Live wisdom insured in you, let's take it out with the final word from Nick, I reckon. Let's do it.
So one of the cool things about Magic Live is not only just seeing amazing products, being part of amazing lectures and so forth, there is a very important second part of that, which is outside of the actual lectures and the convention itself. It's the times you sit around the table making friends with strangers. It's the time when you're sitting down in the cafe having a slice of pizza and you see a magician sitting by himself and you extend the hand of friendship and they come and sit with you and they're an amazing talent, an amazing person. And it's those memories that I think are far more valuable than actually being part of Magic Live in itself. It's the friends you make, the friends you catch up with, and it's the connections you make in that sort of process. So I think with that being said, you don't need a convention to experience that. Extend the hand of friendship, do it kindly, play with your friends, play with magic, and enjoy.
Thanks for listening. It's time for us to disappear now. But we'll see you again on the next episode of The Magic Guys.